reconstruct the entire ship. These vessels were much sturdier and bigger than the boats used on the Nile. Each ship was made from 20 trees. It could carry 40 people and 17 tons of freight. With 14-meter-wide sails, the ship could travel at 6 knots, 3 times faster than donkeys on land.
Another reason this piece of wood is really special is that it's got great examples of the way the Egyptians held their ships together. They used big pieces of wood we call tenons, and they fit inside holes in each plank. We see the ends of each tenon here. They're in pairs, and you can imagine another plank jammed up here next to it with these great pieces of wood holding it together. There's also here what we call a ligature. They threaded strips of copper through here like ribbon and tied the end of another plank to it so that the seam between that plank and the keel was as tight as possible.
This construction kit approach made it possible to easily dismantle the ships, just like the Egyptian chariots. Sailors could transport the pieces overland and reassemble the ship at their destination. That destination was the empire of the Mitanni, Thutmose's archenemy, 900 kilometers from Egypt. Thutmose sails north with 170 ships and a huge army. They disembark, carrying a few disassembled ships with them to cross the river Euphrates. Gathering on the far side of the river, the Egyptian soldiers prepare for war. But the great battle the Egyptians geared up for never happens. The Mitanni have retreated into the Asian plains. Thutmose destroys their cities, staking his territory and declaring victory. His war diaries end soon after his Euphrates campaign. A royal stele on the Euphrates shore marks the furthest boundary of his empire. Thutmose has reached the geographical limits of his military power. Egypt, too, will never reach further. At last, Thutmose and his soldiers can return home. No Egyptian wants to live here, so far from Egypt. The Nile is the center of their world, paradise on earth. And so this ancient superpower kept mainly to itself, expanding only when it was reasonable and necessary.
Thutmose III seems to exemplify that old Egyptian interest in surrounding territories as a sphere of influence only. Not a formal empire, but just a sphere of influence in which the Egyptian messenger can go and tell the local chief, I want so-and-so. You have to comply with Pharaoh's wishes, and the chief will say, yes, sir, and do so.
Once again, Thutmose returns to Thebes in triumph, expanding the Egyptian sphere of influence as never before. No pharaoh's power had ever been greater. Thutmose has accomplished his life's work and banished the danger of foreign domination. To thank the gods for his victories, he extends the Temple of Karnak. And he decorates the walls with images of the exotic animals and plants he discovered on his campaigns. Like all of his ancestors, Thutmose is portrayed in the temple reliefs as the conqueror of Egypt's enemies. But he was more than that. He used his victories to link Egypt with the outside world, for the first time in 1,500 years.
During the New Kingdom, when Egypt became a much more international power and extended its authority far into Western Asia, into the Mediterranean, into the Sudan, this gradually changed. Egypt became much more aware of foreigners and became more accepting of them.
Thutmose is remembered as the greatest Egyptian general and as an astute politician. His 54-year reign over 3 million people was unprecedented and brilliant. By understanding the limits to foreign conquest, Thutmose made Egypt more stable and secure than ever before. Egypt could now enter its golden age.